Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and this is another episode of Let's Finally Talk here on USA Global TV and Radio, where we proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. If you haven't done so, please do subscribe to our YouTube channels. We have two of them, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Thank you very much. Okay, so today our episode is building on the last episode. Each one builds on top of each other. So if you've missed any of them, where can you go watch them? Hello, here on our YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Today's topic is you don't have to match the energy in the room. So what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be talking about when we walk into a room or into a conversation and we feel a certain energy and we feel like we have to match it. And you might have heard this before. You might have heard matching people's body language, right? Someone's like this, so then you're supposed to be like this. We're not talking about that today. We're talking about energy. And sometimes when we're in a different place and our energy is different, we feel like we have to change it so that we fit in. So energy in the context of what I'm talking about today is about conversations and relationships. It's basically that emotional tone and the intensity that we present in that moment. Is it body language? Well, it's a combination of body language, the pace at which we speak, the volume, the facial expressions, and our nervous state. If we're anxious, if we're calm. So this actually has a lot of influence on how we're coming across to someone else. And that's our energy. It's not something that's mystical, that it's out there in the world. It's the emotional climate in a room. And so how can it show up? It can be very calm. You walk into a situation, it's very calm. Or it's highly tense. You know, when someone's sharing something that they're going through and they're highly emotional, you can feel that energy. It can be very open, people sharing very openly, or it can be very defensive and closed off. People don't want to share. It can be framed as curiosity, interested in learning more. Tell me more about that. Or judging. I don't want to hear about that. I'm not interested in that. That doesn't have any value to me. It could also be a sense of urgency. We need to do it right now. We've got to talk about right now. Or it can be very steady. We're getting to that. So if you've ever attended a presentation and the speaker will say, you know, we're going to be taking questions, but let's wait until the end. And you can see people, their hands, they can't wait. They can't wait. They have a sense of urgency. And yet the speaker is setting the room, which is we're going to be steady and we're going to be calm. But people in the audience may not feel that way. And so through their energy, they may unwittingly or knowingly try to change the energy in the room. So what does energy actually tell us? Well, it's actually how communication feels for us. And so if you've ever been in a situation, a conversation or a room where something very heavy is being discussed, let's say it's end of life, you know, I'm 62, soon to be 63. A lot of people my age, you start having conversations about, well, what happens when the end comes? And some people are very uncomfortable having these conversations, and other people are more comfortable, but you can feel the energy in the room. And so you can do what I say is reading your audience. So just because someone else is closed off or distant or unwilling to be open and curious, that doesn't mean that you have to be that way. But what happens when you set your boundary and you stay and remain the way that you are, calm, steady, and at peace? The other person can feel very uncomfortable. Sometimes they can even feel challenged. Oh, what do you think, you're better than me? Oh, what do you think, you're dealing with this better than I am? And that's about them. So I want you to be aware of a few things. First of all, be aware of your own energy. How are you showing up? And this is something that I really recommend and I like to share because I do it myself. When you feel like your energy is off, and that's not a judgment, it's not, it's high, it's low, it's just off. It's just not, you're not feeling exactly how you'd like to feel. Maybe make a decision not to engage in that communication at that time. And you can just share it with, I really care about you. I think the conversation is important. At this moment, I'm not feeling the energy that I need to give you everything that you deserve to have from this conversation. Now, that may not sit well with someone else. So we have to look at reality. Sometimes we're working on ourselves and sometimes we're not. And when we're not working on ourselves, we may be happy with how things are. And that's terrific. But that doesn't mean that that energy is going to match your energy. So first of all, take a good look in the mirror and say to yourself, are you open to being involved in situations or conversations where someone's energy is different than yours? Do you have the skill set to be able to deal with it? And you might say to yourself, I don't understand. What do you mean skill set? What's so hard to understand? Well, think about it. Are you getting along with other people? When someone has a different perspective than you have, are you able to listen to it? Or do you somehow feel triggered? Do you somehow feel that them sharing what they have to share doesn't sit well with you? And if so, you ask yourself why. And I know there's the 5 whys, why. Sometimes we have to go down to 7 and 8 levels and get to the bottom of it. Why is it that we're uncomfortable hearing someone else's perspective? Now, how does that relate to energy? So when someone has a different energy level than you, and I'm going to give 2 examples. I personally have a very high level of energy, but I'm able to contain it. And what do I mean by that? I'm not someone walking around back and forth all day long, walking around, or constantly shaking, restless leg syndrome. And again, no judgment on either of these, but I'm able to channel my energy through my creativity or through my working out. Some people can't do that. So are you comfortable being in a room with someone who has energy where they're walking back and forth? You have to say to yourself, are you able to stay in your own calm state when your energy level is not the same as someone else's? Now, if you were to get up and start walking around back and forth like the other person so that you're matching their energy, does that serve you? Probably not. So at the same perspective, if you were to say to the other person, hey, why don't you just sit down? Why do you keep walking around? Because they can't. They have nervous energy. They haven't learned to channel the energy. So by asking someone to do something that makes you feel more uncomfortable, you're making them feel uncomfortable. So that's what I'm talking about as an extreme example of matching the energy in the room. Now, have you ever been to a funeral or to a function that's sad? Someone has left the earth, and yet there are people laughing. And you'll see this. And then the people who have the sad, negative energy are looking at the people laughing, and sometimes they feel upset about it. Well, that's disrespectful. But yet the people who are laughing are having memories of the good times when the person was there, and they're recounting stories, and that helps them keep the person alive. But to you, you feel insulted. Why? Because you're in pain. You're in pain and you can't imagine laughing at a time when you're so sad. So that's a different energy. You don't have to match that energy and they don't have to match your energy, but yet being respectful of the fact that those different energies exist. Now, I gave extreme examples again. So let's talk about the day to day. On a day to day basis, if you're in a situation where you're with people whose energy is different than yours, are you able to find a way to coexist? Let's say you are working, you're on the job, and your coworker has a very different level of energy than you do, and you two are on a team, whatever that team is. Maybe you're on an assembly line, maybe you're in the executive suite. Are you able to function at a high level with someone who's also functioning at a high level, but you have two different functioning levels, if that makes sense? Why is it that you can't? If you're unable to, ask yourself what's coming up for you. Many times what comes up for us is resentment. We resent the fact that they have this energy and they're channeling it in a certain way, and we don't like it. We don't like it because we do it a different way. And so that's what I hear from my clients over and over again, that when we're with someone who does things a different way than we do it, that we feel threatened. We feel anxious. We feel upset. But ask yourself, who is it that decided that the way we do it is the only way to do it? If you assign a team of people to each get a certain part of a project done, they may look at it in a different way, but yet they get their part of the project done. If you say, well, everyone has to do it the way that I do it, you might have 4 people who can't do it that way because that's not the way they're wired. So part of this look at the energy in the room is also having a sense of openness, a sense of curiosity. And it's also about listening to how someone feels, or maybe how someone else looks at something, which is perspective, and being open to it. We don't have to change. We don't have to mirror. We don't have to match, but we can now have an understanding. And having a level of understanding brings clarity. And when we have clarity, we can have peace. So not everything has to be done the same way. Yet I see on social media, there's endless number of posts that people are against this or they're against that, but they never took the time to understand the other person's perspective. They sort of just piggybacked onto the bandwagon of where everyone else was going. And so instead of being a leader, they're a follower. And it's a good time to be a follower and it's a good time to be a leader, but because you made a choice based on clarity. When you have the clarity and you realize that each person has a different energy level and energies change. I know some people who believe in astrology and they believe in the planets and Mercury retrograde and where the earth is and all these things. And they base their decisions on that. Some people don't believe in that. Some people think that it's ridiculous. But if you don't have the openness, if you don't have the perspective, if you're not willing to listen, if you're not curious, you're never going to understand. And if you don't understand, you're not going to have clarity. And if you don't have clarity, you're not going to have peace. So ultimately, it comes back to us. So when is a good time to match the energy in the room? Well, it depends on what is it you're looking to accomplish. What is it that you hope will take place? Is it workplace tension that's going on and you want to sort of keep the lid on the pot? Is it family gatherings where you're getting together with the family for holidays, for example, and you want everyone to get along? Is it political discussions where people start to get completely out of control and people are ending relationships because of it? Is it social media reactions where you see someone's post and you decide you're going to put something that you feel strongly about? Or is it conversations in a group that are driven by gossip or outrage? How can you remain present without participating? So we've talked about this before in a number of other episodes on Let's Finally Talk. We do not have to share our opinion about every single thing that is voiced. It's exhausting. Where do you find the energy to do it? And after you do it, how do you feel? So if there is workplace tension, do you get involved? Do you have to throw your 2 cents in? And here's an example I'm going to give. I just saw this on social media. And when I see something on social media, by the way, we're on social media right now, I don't always know that it's true. And sometimes I'll get comments from people saying, are you AI? Are you a bot? Which is fair. I'm not a bot. I'm a human being. I'm coming to you live right now. But I saw this on social media that someone had taken a video on an aircraft that there were 2 people engaged in a fist fight over I don't know what. And then other people decided to jump in, and then people were filming it. So the people filming it were also involved, right? So everyone got involved. So ask yourself this question. Are you the person who's getting involved? Are you the person who's filming? Or are you the person who's just sitting back, watching and listening? Now, again, I have no judgment on any of this. What I will say is, between the 2 people who were having the disagreement, and again, I don't know what the real story was, could one of them have chosen a path that they didn't choose? If someone is upsetting you on an aircraft, for example, someone keeps hitting your seat or their children are crying. There's so many different examples. You have a choice. What typically happens is we start getting anxious. They keep kicking my seat. They keep kicking my seat. I've had this happen myself. What is it that you can do? You can just remain quiet and allow them to kick your seat. Probably not going to last too long. You can turn around and start screaming at them. What the heck is wrong with you? Or other words. Or you can call over the flight attendant and just say quietly, I'm very sorry, but I'm getting a headache. The person behind me keeps kicking my seat, and allow that person to deal with it. So you have options. But what typically will happen, what we see on social media is the person gets out of their seat, turns around to the other person, starts screaming like a lunatic. Then the other person starts screaming at them. And then it builds and it builds and it builds. And then other people start getting involved. And before you know it, what could have been stopped has now become a huge thing. Now people are arrested, the flight's diverted. So what we do and the choices that we make, that is based on our energy and how we can contain our energy or how we can channel our energy. So let's talk about being in a family gathering. If you're in a family gathering and you know there's certain topics that your family members like to discuss and it just really annoys you, you just can't stand hearing about this and hearing about that. Ask yourself, why? Why is it? Because I can't stand it. That's a pretty strong statement. So what is coming up for you? Is it the fact that you're bored by it, that it's not going anywhere, that it's gossip? All of those things are realities. So you have a choice. The choice is you can politely, without giving any condescending comments or judgmental comments, you can politely excuse yourself. I'm going to take a step out of the room now. And then they can say, oh, you don't like the conversation? And you can just say, I'll be back in a little while. Boom. That's it. You're done. Or you can choose a different path and you can try to match their energy and you can join into the conversation and start talking about whatever it is. And then later, see how that resonates with you. See if that actually feels good or if you feel mentally and physically exhausted by it. You have a choice. So in each of these situations, I want you to be aware, first of all, what is your emotional disposition before you come into the conversation or before you come into work or before you go to the family gathering? If your energy feels off, decide what to do. If you still have to go, if it's something that you're responsible for attending, how can you work on changing your energy? What can you manifest for yourself so that you have more peace? So focus on it. Sometimes you might only have a few seconds. Maybe it's some deep breathing exercises. Maybe it's affirmations of gratitude. Maybe the person who really drives you crazy, maybe it's wishing them peace, giving them grace. Look at what you can do first. And then when you're in the situation, if it starts to go a way you don't like, you have choices. You can step out of the conversation, or you can choose to be silent. And just because you're silent doesn't mean that you don't feel anything. It doesn't mean that you don't have an opinion. It just means that you are choosing not to engage. And I've shared this many times before. If you think about starting a fire in the woods, okay, it takes certain things to do that. And then it takes air to keep the fire going. Okay, you can choose to keep the fire going. You can choose to jump into the fire, or you can decide you're not going in the woods. So there are choices that you can make, and you can allocate them to each situation that you have. So I hope this has been helpful. I do have a few announcements. The first announcement is, let me see if I can bring it up here. I have a new book coming out, and it's really to help children and their families understand and be able to communicate more effectively. It's called My Tummy Hurts, A Kid's Guide to Bellyaches and Bathroom Troubles. And this book is actually about a little girl named Jackie, and that would be me, talking about my journey of 35 years with ulcerative colitis. So this is a book that I'll be signing at the Take Steps Walk in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the United States of America on May 16th at Citizens Bank Park. But you can buy it now. It's on pre-order as an ebook. So please go ahead and look into that. It will also be coming out in paperback as well as in hardback. And here is my other new book that's coming out. It's called Lady Ella and Lord Jack and the Alley Cats of Greece. So I was recently in Salonita, Greece, and I noticed that there were cats all over the place. I'd never seen anything like it. I hear that it's fairly common in Europe, but I have now put together a book where Lady Ella and Lord Jack, who are the advocates for peace and kindness, they are going to meet with the cats and hear the cats' stories and hopefully give the cats some tips on living a peaceful life. So if you'd like to order that book, you can go over on Amazon as well. You can just look for Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll be back with our next program, and I'll be back with my next episode later this week for Let's Finally Talk. All right, thank you for now, and have a good day. Remember to subscribe to our channels, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Bye for now.
In a noisy world, true connection begins with listening. Elevated listening transforms every conversation in just 5 simple steps. Pause and breathe. Set your intention. Listen with curiosity. Reflect back. Agree on one next step. Join the Listening Mentor on Let's Finally Talk with Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the Listening Mentor, where we help you find inner peace, one conversation at a time. Streaming every day, Let's Finally Talk TV show with Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, only here on USA Global TV and Radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channels to watch and engage with all our content.
Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? In a world quick to judge, one book dares to reveal the hidden cost of silence. Discover Holy but Harmful, The Silent Sin of Judgment, How Hidden Judgments Destroy Relationships and Damage Lives by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. The Amazon #1 bestseller that's transforming the way we understand ourselves and the way we see others. Pick up the companion workbook to uncover your own hidden judgments and learn how to break free from them. Available now on Amazon and at fine bookstores worldwide.
Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now. Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now. Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations. meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.